Hello everyone, and welcome to our Circle and Salve Women. Today is Transparency Day. So for me to allow myself to open up, my intent is that you will be able to relate, you will be able to go, oh, okay, I could see that and I could understand that, and really just finding your inner self. Because to me, we play so many roles, and you have to take yourself away from those roles to get to know who you are and empower yourself. Because as I have grown and I continue to grow, I realize that the times that I am most unhappy is when I realize I have been playing somebody else all day. And it's not to anyone's fault. It's not to, the roles of society is just what they are. If you are a soccer mom, if you are an educator, if you are, at the workout gym, there's certain demeanor about you. If you are a wife, if you are a friend, if you are a daughter, if any type of role you are taking, and then all of a sudden you realize, my goodness, me is being compensated here, it can take a toll on you. But you have to understand that you actually have to take some time to get to know yourself as well. Because if you don't have a true identity outside of all those roles, you are going to feel empty. And I say that from my perspective and just from my own experience in life, is that when I play too many roles, which I do, and I'm sure many of us do, all of a sudden you lose yourself. And so you have to ask yourself, wait a minute, who am I? And recognize who that person is and why you are this way. Now, I will tell you, in my younger days, I was loud. Why was I loud? Is because I came from that background where my family would raise their voice, and it was just like, it was the unspoken rule of whoever got to yell the loudest was the one that was getting hurt. And it seemed like everyone was fighting for their existence all the time. Now, it wasn't to anyone's fault. It was just that we were used to that. I didn't like it. I didn't realize that I had so much anxiety growing up in that type of environment. And it wasn't fair for me to come into a relationship where then my husband was reserved. He is a man that likes to speak on, on much of a lower decibel. And in fact, I realized that, wow, you actually tune in better to someone who is speaking at a much more, quieter level. But for me, I didn't realize that I had all of these nerves working me all this time. I was just panic stricken with life itself, going into being a young mom, yet determined, absolutely, and I emphasize this, absolutely no regrets, because I know that me now in my second phase of being a mom, with our kids being 12 years apart from our first 3 to our younger 2, you look back and go, I had energy to do that. Now there are times where you're like, maybe I should fight this. And then you realize, no, again, recognizing who you are and why you are. You have to take away all of those roles and then come back to you every day. And it could just be a moment, going into the bathroom by yourself, or going into the closet by yourself, going into the kitchen by yourself. We need that time to kind of go, how are you doing, Anne? How are you doing today? And so knowing that you really have to take that part in you to go, let me go back to my inner self and let me ask, why am I being this way? Is it because I'm asking myself to be a wife right now and I need to take on this role? Is it because I'm needing to be a friend right now and I'm needing to take on this role? But anytime that you're heavy burdened with something, then you have to ask yourself, well, why are you being heavy burdened? Is it something that is compensating your true self so much that you are feeling as if you are taking away from that energy that is your spirit, your light, and that are you falling into darkness, being that going into that direction? And if so, is it worth it? Is it something that sometimes you have to set yourself aside to help out a friend? And it may be not your comfort zone. You may need to help out your spouse. It may not be your comfort zone. You may need to help out your children. It may not be your comfort zone. And we have to put on that cape at times and be different roles, but then just come back to that self again and say, okay, I was that role for that moment because I needed that energy for someone else. I needed that, that drive, that whatever it was that was required out of me at that given moment to be there for those that I care about. That is what I needed to do at that time. But then come back to recognize who you are and why you are, so that you are really taking time to go, all right, that was me for the moment, but here I am right now. Because if you have not identified what you like in life without anybody else around you, do you like to read? Do you like to go work out? For me, in between reading and working out, because I'm an educator, I do a lot of reading, because I do a lot of reading, based off of just world news and being in tune to what's going on in the world. I like to just hit the gym and just let go, and literally just be within my own spirit. That is me. And so enable for you to center yourself. Some people write in their journals, and I used to do that. And I realized I didn't want to write anything negative to my journal. I don't like looking back at something that I know that eventually I will work out. And it is something that I don't want to look back to a moment in time where I had overcome. It's just something that it felt like I wanted to crumple that page, throw it in the fireplace, burn it up, and not think about it. So why write it? That's me. Some people, the way they can cope is how to, to write something down and then look back to it and reflect. And the reflective of it, I'm more internally reflective. I am constantly thinking. In fact, I think I'm one of those that think when I go to sleep, and I think as I'm sleeping, and I wake up thinking, because I'm constantly self-monitoring myself. I'm constantly self-reflecting, and I'm constantly talking to myself about what I need to do to improve for that day and living for the day, because there's no turning back at times. And when you can, then you have to process, well, what can I do to undo that moment so that it would be better for right now? And if you can't, then let it be. But then again, that's you recognizing who you are and why you are. Going back to really establishing that. If you haven't gotten defined, just make a list of 5 things that hey, this is who I am. Okay? And if you're loud for life, you're loud for life. I just know that for me, I didn't realize I didn't have to be loud. And I'm still working on that. It is still in progress. I am still growing with that, because those are my emotions. And when I get rattled up, I tested for Hulk in Marvel Comics. That just means I don't like trouble. And I really try to keep myself at a level of peace, because I know I get rattled up when I am then being provoked into something that I don't want to be in, and yet I have to address or handle at a level of beyond peace. And that's not my place to be. That's not my happy place. So I try not to be there at all times. My happy place, I realize now, is coming back to me, is just spending time with that peace. And so it goes to the next one. Know the emptiness you hold and try to fill it yourself. That sounds crazy. I know the first one was recognize who you are and why you are, setting aside all of those roles. But at the same time, know the emptiness you hold and try to fill it yourself. And what I mean by that is, you cannot come into a relationship, whether it be a mother, a daughter, a friend, a boyfriend, a spouse, a partner, a team player, whatever it is. You cannot expect anyone else to fill your emptiness. It is not fair. They're trying to go with their 100 and you're trying to go with your 100. If you don't have 100 coming into you and coming into a relationship, you can't take away their 10, their 20, their 30, their 50. That's not fair to them. What you are doing is stripping them of who they are as a person. So for me, I've learned that from the very get-go. And I've even explained that with my husband. It's difficult because I know as parents, as a mother, it can be very, very difficult to not feel empty. And so you have got to know how to fill it. Some people get their nails done. Some people go get a massage. Some people go and jog. Some people go and talk to a friend. You have got to know how to fill that emptiness. At the same time, though, if you are involving someone else, know that you don't want to be that person taking away from their light, so that you are bringing in darkness in their life. Once it'll go right back to those roles, right? Your friend is going to be a friend to you, but is it fair for you to then expect them to fill your emptiness? And the answer is no. So you have got to know how to fill your own emptiness. I mean, grow up. And I'm just being real. You have to say to yourself, okay, it is not anyone's fault that I am feeling this way. And even if it is there a way that you can then make amends, so that you can say to yourself, let me fix this so that I can be okay with me? And you may not be able to fill it to the brim every time. You may be just going 80, but that is better than knowing that you took, rather than knowing that you took someone's 10% that maybe they only had 40, and now you're stripping them of their goods. And then you wonder why the next time you're with them that they aren't feeling whole with you, that they aren't feeling complete with you. Why? Because you're feeling great. You're feeling like, oh, you're filling me up just fine. That's not fair. Okay, so know the emptiness you hold and try to fill it yourself. And if you aren't able to fill it yourself, ask yourself, then where am I getting my filling? Because I am very anti-drug, anti-alcohol, right? I am a cold turkey, gotta go hit the gym, gotta go take a walk, gotta just go in the closet, literally, and just take time to yourself to recuperate and bring yourself back. And I keep bringing the word self back, because you have to regroup. You have to go, okay, well, wait a minute. Why are you feeling this way? Why are you being this way? And what can you do to undo this? And sometimes when you have your children around all the time, or that you're at work all the time, it is difficult because you're on the grind all day long to not be able to regroup. And so you may be working on 60, and you just know that, hey, I'm going to get my hopefully 40, hopefully 20 by the time all my students have left, or all my coworkers have left, or by the time that I just find 10 to 15 minutes by myself. And that may be just, going to play a game or so, and just kind of going, okay, let me center, or just meditating. Whatever it is, know how to fill yourself back, and don't say to yourself, you're going to go ahead and get it from someone else. Once again, fill yourself, your own emptiness, if you can, by yourself, without taking it away from the other person. Remember, they're trying to fill themselves too. And lastly, for this one is listen. And when I say listen, okay, for me, I am a person that would rather talk in my 20s than really listen. Now, granted that I honestly think that there were times when I listened to people because they interested me, but I was a selective listener. Just like we're selective listeners in class, and some of us are like, oh, I must have attention deficit disorder because I don't like to listen. No, that means you're selective. It's because it's not something you want to know. It's like you're just filtering what's interesting you. Just like as soon as you turn on social media, we're going through it all the time and trying to filter what we want to listen to, what we want to see, and what we want to read. And so for you, when it comes to listening, what I mean by that is just listen. Even if it hurts and it bites, because my spouse and my children and my students will be the first to sometimes tell me things I don't want to hear, because it's something that then all of a sudden I'm having to look at and go, oh my goodness, I have to address this, don't I? And it's important to enable for you to grow. That's water. That is sun to you growing. And you need to understand that, everyone around you, whether you like it or not, they're trying to tell you something that will help you become a better self. And you may not like what you have to hear, but just listen. And then you get to have that power within yourself to go, nah, I'm not going to listen to that, because there are people. Now, here's the deal. It doesn't matter if you're pretty, if you're smart, if you're strong, if you're healthy, if you are wealthy, if you are famous. There is something about you that when someone else is empty about their lives, if they're feeling dark, they are going to look at you with covetousness. They are going to look at you and think, you know what? I don't want them to have that. I don't want them to be happy. I don't want them to be famous. I don't want them to be wealthy. I just don't want them, period. Right? And then all of a sudden, they may say something to you that, man, you could be at your high. You could be at your 100. And next thing you know, someone says something and you're like, why am I feeling 50 right now? Because you listen to that person. And then you have to go, ooh, hold on. Let me take the process of elimination. And this is when you think to yourself and go, am I going to even take that to heart and believe it? And that is tough because we are emotional people. And we do take many things to heart. Even when you go, that didn't bother me. That didn't bother me. That didn't bother me. And then you go, why are you still talking about it, right? You say to yourself, why are you still mentioning it? Why is it still a big deal to you? It's because it did somewhat. Because you knew that the person intentionally tried to hurt you or try to take you down. What you need to say to yourself is, look, I am still standing. And yeah, okay, that bothered me, but I'm not going to let them know it. I'm just going to listen. I'm going to let them talk, and I'm going to process what they're saying, because whether they're saying something that was meant to hurt or meant to cut your heart in so many pieces, there may have been something that you could pick up from that will help you to be bigger and better. And, that's when you thank them. Say, hey, man, thank you. And it'll surprise them, because especially the ones that want to hurt you and take you down, it's nice when you can come back to them and go, that actually helped me out. And that's difficult for me because I'm a person that does not like, it's difficult for me to, words of affirmation is my primary love language. And so I'm always needing something that tells me I'm on the right direction. I'm going in the right path, and for the most part is because I love to overachieve, and there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely. I know this because that's who I am. I like to just keep going in a certain direction, but I also need affirmation that I'm doing whatever I need to do right. Yet, it's not going to stop me. It's going to keep me going in that direction. And still, I'm carrying that burden of what people are saying and what people are, saying around me. And yet I use that as an empowerment. I really do. Even though it seems like I'm lashing back. Most of the time, my husband, because I'm like, he and I, my greatest friend, it's like I could go right back and go, but here's this about you, and yet, it's like, wait a minute, this was about me. And he's calling me out on something. And my children, the same thing, right? And sometimes my students where, I may correct them and I didn't realize I was correcting the wrong person. You kind of have to go, whoa, you jumped to that, So you have to listen to what people are saying around you. No matter how much it hurts, there is always something you can get out of it. And even if it bites, even if it stings, keep working at it to go, okay, but I'm going to show you, or show yourself. You don't have to worry about showing others, but really saying to yourself, what can I do with this? How can I turn this around to be positive? And if it still hurts, go back to how to feel that emptiness. If someone took something out of you, and you were at your 100 and now you're feeling 50, go like I do. Go hit the gym. If that's how you feel your emptiness, go read a book. If that's how you feel your emptiness, go cook a nice meal for yourself. If that's how you feel your emptiness, but make sure you're doing it in a healthy way. Fill it with something that's going to then fill you up with light and not darkness. Because that is really, by today, what I want you to understand is you are trying to continue to shine. You are trying your best to continue to find your true self, where you go, I am feeling so warm inside. I am feeling like, no matter what the world is like right now, that I know I can really be a responsible, growing individual, to know that I'm contributing with good energy. No one wants to walk around Black Friday next to a person who's just grumpy. It's just, when you're shopping around or when you're at the gym, no one wants to walk around with someone who's grumpy. Everyone is trying to feel their light and not their darkness. And you have to understand that again, going back to the first part, recognizing who you are and why you are is important, but it is not fair for you to go ahead and then, going back to number 2, taking that from someone else because you don't feel like you can't be you without taking it from someone else. No, you've got to be your 100. And even if you're just your 80, okay, you have got to say to yourself, this is me though. And I'm not going to take 20 from you just so that I can be 100. Because guess what? Now you're going to be with people who are not happy to be around you because you are a taker rather than a giver. So that's going to be our next episode, is really talking about feeling like you can give and yet knowing when not to have anyone take so much out of you. But for today, just remember, recognize who you are and why you are aside from all your roles. Know the things that you like about yourself and be gracious about things that you may not like, because you know you're still a work in progress till the very end. You are a masterpiece as you are being molded into who you are. But recognize who you are right now and why you are, and then give yourself permission to go, sometimes I've got to be this, but then I know how to come back to this, me, right here, okay? Sometimes I got to be that, but I know how to come right back to me, okay? Recognize who you are and why you are at moments in your life, and then come back to your true self at the end. Get to know who you really are aside from all of your roles. Know the emptiness, number 2, you hold and try and fill it yourself. It is so unfair for you to think you could take a 20 from someone else just so you could be your 100. That's not cool. And it's not something that is okay for you to think is something that you're just going to do every day. Okay? You cannot siphon other people's energy, other people's love, other people's dreams, other people's hopes, and just their cells to fill who you are. Know how to fill your own emptiness so that you can then identify, what am I going to do with this if I am feeling right now a little bit empty? Do I just continue to be this way? And then do I go ahead and take it out on other people so that they can feel just as empty as me? No, okay? Do figure out how to fill your emptiness. And even if you don't get to your 100, at least you fill it up yourself and you didn't go ahead and take it from someone else. Last one is listen. Yeah, it's going to hurt. Yeah, it's going to cut. Okay? Sometimes you don't want to hear what people have to say, but listen, because that is a way where you can take into account what you need to work on. And again, they may be lying. There are going to be people that may be trying to squash your dreams or squash your hopes or just squash you, but you're smart and you're able to decipher that, and kind of go, ooh, this person is trying to take my 20 or my 50. You've got to remember, we're all human and we're all trying to do us. And if that person is that person who's trying to, squash on your dreams, trying to squash on your hopes, just trying to squash on you, right? I mean, that's what you have to kind of go, is give them peace and be there if you need to. If you feel like you got to love them from a distance, that's okay. But you have got to make sure that you allow yourself to listen in for your own growth, and then be able to determine what you will absorb in your heart, in your mind, and in your spirit, and then go with that. Go with that all the way through, and just do that every day. Just keep reminding yourself, let me know who I am. Let me know who I need to be to not feel empty. And then let me hear what other people have to say, and then I can filter it to make me a better person every time. And if you forget sometimes, it's okay. Just keep turning on this video and you'll be reminded. So in the words of my mother, God bless us all. Do your best to just keep being you, and embrace that every day, every moment. Just try. Have a great day. Ooh.